Good morning, everyone. I want to welcome you to our second installment of So Many Parkinson's Organizations, So Little Time. We have four great speakers today, and I'm going to introduce each of them in a second. All right, our first speaker is Rebecca Gilbert, who is the Chief Scientific Officer at the American Parkinson's Disease Association, or the APDA. She's responsible for overseeing APDA's research portfolio in conjunction with their scientific advisory board, and also provides medical and clinical expertise to support APDA programming, web content, and publications. She's also a movement disorders neurologist and maintains a practice 1 day a week in New York City. And I want to say I met Dr. Gilbert in 1995, I think it was, at a Women in PD event that was held in New Jersey for 25 women. I was one of the lucky 25, and she was great, a great presenter there, so I know you're going to enjoy her today. Our second speaker is Dom Graham, who was appointed as the EPDA Operations Director in January 2019. EPDA is the European Parkinson's Disease Association, and he'll explain why he's here later. His collaboration dates back with the EPDA dates back to 2000, although he's worked much more consistently with the organization since 2012. And he's UK based, and he will tell you more about himself when he speaks. Third speaker is Katrina Kahl from the Brian Grant Foundation. And she has more than 2 decades of experience in public health advocacy and communications. Her prior roles include Associate Director of Communications at the Fox Foundation, and she had the opportunity to learn about Parkinsons research from experts in the field when she was there. She holds a Bachelor of Science in Biology from Portland State University and a Master of Public Health from Berkeley, UC Berkeley. And our final speaker is Sarah Osborne, who I've known for a long time, works for the Parkinsons Association in Parkinsons Foundation in California. And she was born and raised in West Virginia. She holds a Bachelor of Science in Journalism, Master of Education specializing in diversity and inclusion, and is currently pursuing a credential in public health. And she came to the Parkinsons Foundation after her younger brother, John, who was 32 at the time, was diagnosed with Parkinson's. And she's been with the Parkinsons Foundation for more than 6 years. Her passion is education that reaches and improves the lives of all people living with Parkinson's. So here's the format for the morning. It will be the same as it was 2 weeks ago. Each of the speakers will do their presentation. If you have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. If it's relevant to what they're speaking about at the time, I will ask them. Otherwise, we will hold the questions until after everybody's through speaking. Plan to stay on a little longer than usual because we have 4 speakers and we won't have any time for questions if we get off at 11 o'clock. So welcome, and our first speaker is Rebecca, and I will highlight you. I will pin you, so there you go.
Okay, hi everyone. I just want to make sure you can see my screen and you can see my slides. Is that a yes? Okay, great. So I represent American Parkinson's Disease Association. And my first topic will be who we are and what we do. I tried to stick to Sharon's instructions as closely as I could, and this was the first question. So our mission statement summarizes basically what we are here for. And our mission statement is every day we provide the support, education, and research that will help everyone impacted by Parkinson's disease live life to the fullest. We were founded in 1961, which means this is our 60th year. We're based in Staten Island, New York City, but we have chapters and information on referral centers across the country. So you're seeing my slides advance, correct? Okay, great. So I want to first discuss our local programming. So we have programming that is in individual locations across the United States, and then we have national programming, and I'll talk about both of them. So in terms of the local programming, as I said, we have a network of chapters and information on referral centers, and we have 3 major buckets of types of programs that we provide. The first is resource referral, so calling up one of our centers and asking for information about local physicians, local therapists, local support groups, etc. And so that's a very important source of information for people. The second is, sorry, I did two at a time. The second is in education and support. And we have all sorts of programming that provides both of those things. So support groups, we have symposia where we provide educational events. And then we have unique programs that are implemented in places across the country. One of them is called Parkinsons Roadmap for Education and Support Services. And this is a program for people diagnosed within the past 5 years. And it is a combination support group and educational forum where people learn the basics about Parkinson's disease while meeting other people who were recently diagnosed. In addition, we have some unique programming that we implement across the country, including a driving retirement workshop, a freezing of gait workshop, etc. These are examples. And then finally, our third bucket is health and wellness. We have programming that connects people to art called Connecting Through Art. Different chapters in our organization have implemented their own series. We have one called Create Joy, where all sorts of ways to bring that joy into your life, laugh, yoga, etc. And finally, exercise and movement classes, including dance, yoga, tai chi, boxing, etc. In terms of our nationwide programming, so if you do not live in a catchment area that is covered by a chapter or informational referral center, and certainly we have international people also turn to us, we have ways of giving information to those people as well. We have a toll-free helpline. We have a very robust website where you can download publications and webinars, and they are in English and Spanish. We have lots of information just on our website and through a blog that I write weekly. We have a connection with Smart Patients, which is an online support group that you can join through APDA. We have a symptom tracker app that can be downloaded in English and Spanish on Apple Store or Google Play. And we have online training courses for first responders and fitness professionals. These are examples of a wealth of information that we have available to anyone, anywhere. Here is some snapshots of some of the national programming that I just discussed. And then in addition, I should mention that in the time of COVID, obviously, all of our programming reverted from being in person to online, and we had to move many of our programs that used to be in person to online, as all the organizations did. And so some of the programs that were developed in this past year, which we hope to continue as hopefully, even though the Delta variant is giving us pause, hopefully we will continue to be able to move from an online platform to an in-person platform. Two of the new programming modalities that we implemented in this past year, one we entitled Dr. Gilbert Host, which is me, and I interview basically various personalities in the Parkinson's disease world. Here's an example of one. I interviewed Dr. Walter Koroshetz, who's the director of National Institute of Neurologic Diseases and Stroke. And we implemented a Let's Keep Moving with APDA, which was a collaboration with Boston University on various topics related to physical therapy, exercise, and Parkinson's disease. I want to talk really briefly about our research programs. So we have our education and support, which I went through, and our third pillar is research. And our niche is to fund early investigators that do not have established wealth of sources of funding, have not gotten that massive NIH grant yet, but are on track to, and they need that seed money to bring them to the next level. That's where we find we are most impactful, and we have various individual awards. George C. Kotzias Award is for a physician scientist who is planning a multi-year project, usually a 3-year project. We have a postdoctoral fellowship, a grant, which we call research grant for the assistant professor level. And again, these are people who either are new to the Parkinson's disease field or new to research and need that initial funding to then jumpstart them. We have wonderful stories about how this is a really important source of funding for people, because it's really much, much harder to get that large grant if you haven't gotten anything prior. We also have a Research for All grant, which is a grant that's dedicated to research in understudied populations. And that's a new grant for us. This is our 2nd year funding it. We also fund Centers for Advanced Research, which are academic institutions that have prominent Parkinson's programs. And so we fund both individuals and institutions. How to get involved. We have volunteers that are needed at the local level for our walks, our programs, our conferences, with mailings, with call campaigns. We have volunteers, and these are people with Parkinson's disease or care partners that sit on local boards to plan programming and plan fundraising events. So there's really a lot of opportunity to get involved. And again, we had to transition from in-person to online over this past year. And here's an example of our online walks, which were super fun. Very innovative. Here's some photos from our previous life, which hopefully we'll be able to get back to in-person events. And Sharon wanted us to highlight women and PD and how APDA is involved in that. And I wanted to make sure that I touched on that as well. I wanted to talk about our Young Women Patient Education Virtual Forum, which took place last year at one of our information and referral centers in Long Island. Adina Leader was the lead on this project, and it basically addressed issues of the young onset Parkinson's disease women community, and they had 70+ attendees. It was online, and Adina hopes to reprise this in person as soon as she can. It was extremely successful. And we also, we don't have a specific women and Parkinson's disease research grant that we fund, but over the years, or that past couple of years, we have funded some fascinating women and PD research grants. Here we have Roberta Marangu from Weill Cornell studying menopause and Parkinson's disease, and found that perimenopausal female mice were more similar. Basically, estrogen was protective, and if you induced menopause in these mice, they turned more into a male-like mice than female mice, and their Parkinson's disease tracked more like male mice than female mice. And there was this fascinating relationship between probably hormonal status and the features of the Parkinson's disease. And that's certainly a field that is ripe for more study. And we also funded Elizabeth Tisbro from the Louisiana State University in Shreveport, who studied biomarker diversity and looked at cognitive differences in Parkinson's disease, and showed that men with PD had greater executive and processing speed impairments compared to women. And again, this is another area of trying to figure out why this is the case, and what can be learned, and what lessons can be implemented based on these fascinating results. So I think I've come to the end of my time. And so I wanted to just let you know all the ways that you can find out more about us. We have our toll-free helpline, 1-800-223-2732. We have our website full of information. And then we are present on all of the major social media outlets. So find us very simply, APDA Parkinsons, wherever you like to do your social media. And on that note, I'd like to turn it over to the next speaker.
Thank you, Rebecca. Roberta Marangio was one of our speakers last month on hormones and PD. So, perfect. Okay. Our next speaker is Dom, and I apologize for the, okay, there you go.
Lovely. Hi there. So making sure everybody can see. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to mute myself.
Okay, brilliant. Hello, everybody. Really pleased to be here. Thank you ever so much for the invite, Sharon. I hope you find the next 10 minutes or so interesting. I'll also try and follow a similar process as well, following the questions that Sharon asked us to cover. So here's a brief introduction to the EPDA. That's the European Parkinson's Disease Association. I don't know if many of you are aware of us. I hope you are, but if not, I hope you'll be interested to learn more about us at the end of this brief presentation. So let's see there. Just briefly about myself, I'm the EPDA Operations Director, but actually my time and working with the EPDA dates back nearly 21 years actually. So I did lots of volunteering work in my formative years, and that slowly and steadily just gone into new and different roles, and now I'm involved in pretty much everything there is to be involved.
We are not seeing your slides. I don't know what happened to them.
Okay, let me come out.
Yeah, I know everything. Getting lots of comments.
Sorry, everyone. Can you
That's
see
okay.
that? No, I'll
No.
try again. Let me share that.
There you go. There you are.
There. Okay. Sorry about that. So that was just a brief introduction slide about myself, so you haven't missed anything. The EPDA, who are we? Well, we're the only European Parkinson's umbrella organisation, and what that really means is that our members are national Parkinson's associations, not individual members. So I think we're really distinct from the other organisations that you'll probably interact with and meet on these calls. So yeah, our members are national Parkinson's associations. For example, Parkinsons UK, they're an anomaly because they're huge. Most of our members are actually very, very small organisations, or relatively speaking, at least. There are some mid-sized and then there are some small. Many of our organisations, let's say Parkinson's Slovenia, or there's Parkinson's organisations in Croatia or Slovakia and so on and so forth. They're very small. They struggle for funding. They're run by volunteers. They don't have their own offices. So huge challenges they have just to do a day-to-day job. And that's many of our members represent that kind of organisation. Then you've got mid-sized organisations who do great work but still have to battle for every penny. And then we have one giant organisation, and that's Parkinsons UK, which are a lot more similar, I think, to the likes of the APDA, Michael J. Fox, Parkinson Foundation, that kind of thing. Really, in Europe, they're the only one. So that's a really important thing for you to understand, and that they are our membership base, not individuals. With regards to the EPDA, we were founded 30 years ago next year, and we're a very small team. We work remotely. We've never had offices ourselves for the same reasons. Getting money for us is hugely challenging. I know it is for everybody, but ours is a bit different because we don't get grants. We don't get individual fundraising from individuals or legacies. I can explain our funding model later if anybody's interested. But yeah, we are the leading voice for Parkinson's in Europe, and that makes us a bit different to other organisations because there is no other organisation that's really challenging the EU from a lobbying perspective, and I'll come back to that a bit more in a bit. So what does EPDA do? Well, really, we're all about engaging, informing, uniting, and advocating. We want to work in collaboration, and we want to form partnerships. We don't want to work just by ourselves. We believe that the only way that we can defeat Parkinson's and really care for the people that live with the condition is by working together. And that means with different countries, different regions, and different stakeholders, healthcare professionals, politicians, the treatment industry, you name it, we need to work together with them. So that's very much part of our ethos. Part of our work is to provide information and resources to people with Parkinson's, but also, as I'll come to share what's going on in our own member countries. So it's not just about what we can provide, it's about what we can share. What can we introduce other national Parkinson's organisations in Europe to? All the great work that Parkinson's UK is doing, we can share that. All the great work that France, Slovenia, Slovakia, Croatia, Switzerland, that's what we're here to do, to help facilitate and inform. And then the third one here is to unite. We bring people together. We bring organisations together to learn, to network, and to share. And then finally, a real USP for us is, I mentioned it, it's that political advocacy role. So we work from a bottom-up, top-down approach. So from the top down, we actually work with MEPs, the commissioners at the European Union, and we lobby them and we try and influence them. We try and raise awareness of just how important Parkinson's should be on their radar. And then we also work with our national members to actually work on their own advocacy strategies as well. Because again, if you, what I'd really like you to take home is if you're someone from France, if you're someone from Luxembourg or Malta, you've got different challenges, you've got different priorities, and advocacy may not be top of your agenda. And even if it is, you might not know how to start because you don't have the team there and the resources to actually do that work. Well, that's what the EPDA can help with. We can help inform you, teach you about what can work, in your country with regards to influencing political decision makers and policy makers. So that's a big part of our work. I've just got a slide here that indicates our strategic areas, and really the one that I'd really like to highlight is here. This is our kind of overarching principle, and I think I've already mentioned it, but I'll just re-emphasize it here. It's to facilitate the free flow of good Parkinson's related practices across and between European countries. We want to share, we want to soak up all that knowledge and all that great work that our members are doing, and to share that with our other members who may not be aware. In terms of the different areas that we work with, well, a big part of it is access to the right information at the right time, providing resources that we've either created or that our members have created, so that there's no reinventing the wheel. That's a phrase that comes up time and time again. Why should the EPDA create something that somebody else has already created? Why should Malta create from scratch what Sweden are already doing, and so on and so forth. Second area is to target European healthcare professionals. Huge challenge for us as a small team, but really the evidence we've got is that people with Parkinson's on the ground, again in all these different European countries, are just not being are not getting shown that either the resources that are available to them, but also the treatment options. That's a huge thing that comes up, and time again, is they're not directed to these different options, treatment options. Let's take deep brain stimulation, for example. They're just not shown this information early enough in their Parkinson's journey, and we try and influence either European healthcare bodies or individuals as and when we can. I'll be honest with you, that's a huge challenge for us as a small team, but it's something that we're going to be focusing on more in the coming years. The third goal here is what I've already indicated, and that's political advocacy. So, raising awareness is a huge, broad goal. So for the EPDA, we try and narrow our focus to just do what we can do and nobody else can do, and that's educate and raise awareness of Parkinson's among EU decision makers, or help our members do that. Again, that's that top-down, bottom-up approach. Finally, our fourth pillar, if you like, is the research area. And again, we're not a research organisation. We're not Parkinson's UK. We're not Cure Parkinson's Trust. Cure Parkinson's is, let's say, the UK version of Michael J. Fox, but not quite as big, or as doesn't have the funds at their disposal. But the EPDA is not a research organisation. So, but what can we do? What value can we add? Well, it's about raising awareness of to the Parkinson's community, particularly our members, of the opportunities that are available to them. And we're trying at the moment to really focus on clinical trials. How can we get more people aware of the clinical trial opportunities that are available to them? And it's not just clinical trials themselves, taking part in the trials. It's maybe getting involved in the trial design, and getting involved much earlier. So we work a lot with our treatment industry partners here to actually do a lot of patient listening, and raising awareness with our members to actually get involved in that trial process with the treatment industry companies much earlier than they have been doing in the past. How long have I got, Sharon?
Oh, I don't know. How many?
Maybe
just a couple more minutes.
Okay.
You're fine. You're fine.
Fine.
A couple more minutes.
I think I'll skip over these two, and I wanted to focus on the Parkinson's and women. I've focused a lot on what we do with our member organisations. Well, we also want to communicate with the Parkinson's community beyond our members. And we do that in a number of ways, particularly via our Parkinsons Life online magazine. It's a lovely website. It's meant to be very inspiring, sharing the wonderful stories that people with Parkinson's have, about how they live with their lives with Parkinson's. It's meant to be something that is a real feel good. Look what I can do. Look what I've achieved. And that's the ethos of that magazine. Part of that is we launched in 2019 a Women and Parkinson's content campaign. As you can see here, we've had 16 articles published focusing specifically around this campaign. We've had 21 women featured, including Sharon. She's taken part in our podcast. It's all available at Parkinsons Life, so do please take a look at that if you haven't seen it. So it's something that's very close to our hearts, and we hope that it will run for a long time to come. How can you get involved with EPDA? Well, there's lots of different ways, particularly filling in online surveys. So again, we're not on the ground with people with Parkinson's. We're kind of above the National Parkinson's Associations. So again, it's lots of online work. So we launch lots of online surveys that aim to raise awareness of specific aspects of Parkinson's. We also host a number of working groups, virtual at the moment, but also face-to-face, that try and help to highlight and raise the patient voice, particularly with our treatment industry partners again. And we really want to hear stories and stories of hope, meaningful, inspiring stories from the Parkinson's community. So do please get in touch. I've got a few buttons here in terms of you can either email me directly, you can subscribe to our newsletters, or you can subscribe to Parkinsons Life as well. I've mentioned our advocacy. Yeah, and please do get involved. Do look out for us on social media. You'll see us on all the main platforms, and we'd love to hear from you. I think I'm probably nearly running out of time. I'd just like to highlight one thing that we're doing at the moment that might be of interest to some of you, and that's we're looking at the moment of hosting an international Parkinson's sports event, a bit like the Olympics. So if you're interested in the Olympics, think of an Olympics for people with Parkinson's. We really do have grand vision here. Whether we'll do it or not, we'll wait to see. But really, what we're doing at the moment is doing a feasibility study just to try and see if there's an appetite for people with Parkinson's. Would you, in North America, for example, would you travel to Europe? That's a question we really need to know. Equally, if you're in the UK, would you travel to continental Europe? We're well aware of COVID and the risks, so we do ask all those kind of questions in the survey. It should only take you 5-10 minutes to fill it in. It's very simple, but if you're interested, do please contact me. I think there's a link, or I can provide a link to the survey questionnaire. It's also on Parkinsons Life. We launched an article last week about it, so take a look there. And we'd love to get your thoughts. And this is an example of how you can get involved with the EPDA. Really share your thoughts, share your feedback, share your experience of what it's like being someone with Parkinson's. I'll stop there. I could go on and on and on. So I'll stop there and welcome any questions if there are any at the end.
Okay. Thank you, Dom. This was great. And I'm going to unpin you. Can you stop sharing, and then I will unpin you. How many, let's see, I want to go back to, I have to unpin you. How do I do this? Shoot. Okay, well, hold on. Where is it? I can't get, oh, view. Hello. Okay. How many of you on today are in Europe somewhere? Just raise your hand. Anybody? Okay, Malenka, where are you at? You're muted. Where are you?
I'm in Staten Island, New York City.
But you're not, but you're from Europe. I'm asking you who's on from Europe. We do have a number of, yeah.
I'm from France.
You're from France, okay. We do have a number of women who come on regularly. Oh, I see one hand down. Angela, where are you?
Yeah, I'm in Vienna.
Aha.
Austria.
Okay, and yeah, we have a number of regulars who come on from all over Europe. So I'm glad you joined us today, Angela. And this is why I welcomed the EPDA, because almost all of the other organizations are United States, except for PD Avengers. So anyway, this was great. Thank you. And I'm going to turn it next to, who is my next speaker? I think it was Katrina.
Yeah, great. Thank you. I'll go ahead and share my screen.
Okay.
Can you guys see the slides?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, great. Hey, thank you guys for allowing me to speak today about the Brian Grant Foundation. Our mission is to provide tools to improve the well-being of people with Parkinson's. If you haven't had a chance to check out our website, briangrant.org, I invite you to do that, where you'll learn a lot more about us. Thank you, Sharon, for having us on today. It's really, really exciting to meet all of you ladies. You probably know a little bit about our founder. He was in the NBA for 12 years, played for 5 different teams during his career, including the Portland Trailblazers, which is where we're based, Portland, Oregon, where Brian what Brian calls his home. He played for the NBA. At the end of his career, he started to notice that he was having some trouble with jumping and shooting and a tremor, which led to a diagnosis of Parkinson's in 2008 at the age of 36. He founded the Brian Grant Foundation 2 years later in 2010. The initial focus of the foundation was to raise money for research. So we supported the Michael J. Fox Foundation in the early years. But similar to one of the stories I heard last week from Davis Finney, Brian also found that he wanted to know more about how to live with the disease, especially as an athlete who was used to being able to train his body to work at the highest levels of athleticism. He was very frustrated with not knowing how he could be to live better with the disease. So he refocused the foundation to really focus on living well. And though our founder is a very, very tall man, if you've never seen Brian, if he's ever in the same room with him, I promise you won't be able to miss him because he's 6'9". He's a very tall man. We are a very small staff. So that's one thing I just wanted to also point out. Thank you, Sharon, for inviting us here today. We are a small organization. We have 2 full-time employees, 1 part-time employee. So we are, I like to say, lean and mean. Small and mighty, but small nonetheless. We do have a lot of volunteers. So I do want to give a shout out to all the people who volunteer for our organization, including our program advisory council made up of people with Parkinson's and their care partners, which I will talk about a little bit later as one of the ways that you can be involved with us. So we are, like I said, small, mighty. So we're very, very focused on 3 buckets: nutrition, exercise, and a supportive community. So emotional support. How do you get the support you need to improve your mood, improve your quality of life? Probably the one place that I would direct you to is, again, briangrant.org. So on our website, we have exercise videos, cooking videos, recipes, profiles of people with Parkinson's, other types of resources to help you live better with the disease, focused on, again, exercise, nutrition, and lifestyle. It's a great place to learn more about us. It's a great place to get involved with us, and I hope you have a chance to check out what we're doing on the website. We've also have, like many of the other organizations, monthly webcasts with expert speakers. We have a number of other types of digital things we do, including, adding in stories from the PD community, which is another way that I will talk about that you could be involved with us. So a big part for us is creating online tools that people can use to get engaged in their health goals and stay active. We also, since we're a small organization, we also like to try to take ideas and maybe incubate them into something that could support the community at large, that could be spread beyond our walls. So for many years we had heard about the need for training of professionals around exercise, especially in underserved communities, rural communities, where it was hard for communities to have enough people with Parkinson's to get a class together or a training together, get enough support for a class. So we decided to launch a online training. It's freely available for anybody who wants to take the training. It's for exercise instructors, rehab professionals. It doesn't focus on any one modality. It really looks at what are the concepts behind exercise for Parkinson's, and it teaches any exercise instructor how to work safely and effectively with someone with Parkinson's. So whether you're a yoga instructor, a silver sneakers instructor, the idea is you can learn about the evidence behind exercise for Parkinson's and work more effectively with people with Parkinson's. The training center is at training.briangrant.org. We recently held an exercise conference as well. We worked with the Parkinson's Foundation a year ago on the convening they had to publish the first exercise, or publish the Parkinson's exercise recommendations, which Sarah might talk about. And then we held a conference to kind of talk about those recommendations from the lead researcher on those recommendations. And then we talked with a couple of physical therapists about how you can incorporate those recommendations into an exercise class. So professional education is one thing we do. We also have a mental health training coming up and a training for primary care. So it's one piece that we do. Hopefully the idea is that it gets picked up by the rest of the community by taking it online, anyone anywhere can benefit from the training. One thing I also just wanted to say that's coming up, you probably heard a lot about mindfulness. If you haven't, it's come up a lot during the pandemic, this idea of how do you improve your mental health through an awareness, through mindfulness. And we have been, looking at some of the research behind mindfulness for Parkinson's. There isn't a lot of it, but there is some evidence that shows that mindfulness might be able to support improvements in reducing stress. And specifically, there is a course that was created by a man named John Kabat-Zinn in the 70s. That's an 8-week course that you take. Our goal this fall is to pilot a virtual version of that course starting in September. So we're hopeful that people will engage in that course with us. If you don't know much about mindfulness, this Tuesday night, we're going to have a mindful party where you can come on and learn about it and share in a practice. On August 10th, Dr. Amy Hiller from Oregon Health and Science University, who treats Parkinson's patients, is going to talk about the evidence behind mindfulness for Parkinson's. What do we know? What do we know about the practice? What's involved in this course? And then the course starts in September. It's 8 weeks for 2 hours a week. So if you're interested in that, please go to briangrant.org and learn more about it. And again, a good way to start is this Tuesday night with us on the mindful party, unless you've taken the practice prior. I also just wanted to say in September, we also dedicate the month of September to nutrition for Parkinson's, something we call Plates for Parkinson's. So we'll have a number of cooking demonstrations throughout the month. We have an expert Q&A about foods that are supportive of immunity and immune function. So again, if you are interested in nutrition for Parkinson's and want to get involved in cooking, please check that out too at briangrant.org. So I wanted to say, in terms of women with Parkinson's, we don't have any programs specifically geared toward women with Parkinson's. Similar to Dawn, we do have a blog. We have profiled many women with Parkinson's about their journey, their successes, their challenges, what's been unique for them. But again, we would love to hear from any of you about what you guys think. I mean, I'm looking at this group of ladies and I'm thinking you guys know more than I do. So if you have ideas, we're all ears. Please be in touch with us. Some ways you can do that. We do have a program advisory committee. I mentioned that earlier. It's made up of people with Parkinson's and their care partners. Full disclosure, we are here in Portland, Oregon. So we do have a lot of meetings here in person in Portland, but we're absolutely open to the idea of people joining us remotely. So if that's something you're interested, please get in touch with us. We have a blog. If you'd like to share your stories with us, talk to us about what's going on for you, how you're doing, what your journey's been like, your challenges, your accomplishments. We'd love to hear from you. Please share your stories with us. Community ambassadors, we are often asked to be at events around the country, but we are again small, so it's very hard for us to be at those events. We are always looking for people who would be willing to be an ambassador for us at those events, potentially table for us, and support us in that way so that we can be in more places. So again, if any of those things are interesting to you, if you'd like to get involved with us, please do email us. I have put their info at briangrant.org because that is my colleague who is very good at following up. You can also always email me at katrina@briangrant.org. I do hope that we can work together. I will just say, as a small organization, we really do believe in partnerships, and we are so delighted to be here today. We've been able to work with everybody in the last 2 sessions. EPDA with the Unite for Parkinson's campaign, Parkinson's Foundation was supportive of one of our exercise trainings in Florida, and we worked with them on the exercise convening last year for the recommendations. We've worked with the APDA. I sat on a diversity steering committee with them, and we're close with our local chapter in the Northwest. Davis Finney, I don't know if you guys saw, but Davis Finney and Brian Grant recently did a video conference together talking about their experiences. We worked with PMD Alliance here in Oregon when they had an event. And of course, the Michael J. Fox Foundation, in the early days, we helped fund, help support some of the research efforts they had there. So we are delighted to work with people. So please do stay in touch with us. Please do reach out to us. And with that, I'll turn it over to the next speaker.
You're muted, Sharon.
Yeah, okay. Helena Fox said she attended a Brian Grant boot camp training with Katrina in Oregon several years ago and absolutely loved it. So, and I must say you may be a small organization, but you really have a national reach, which is one of the reasons I wanted you to be here. I think that, you know, it doesn't, number of people working in the office has nothing to do with your reach. And you do a lot, and you do, and your work is different than what we're seeing from pretty much everybody else. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
For having.
Oh, you're welcome. Sarah, you are our last speaker.
Hi, thank you.
So your turn.
Okay, can everybody see and hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So yeah, I'm Sarah Osborne. I am the Associate Director of Community Programs for the Parkinsons Foundation's West Region, so the left half of the country out here. And as Sharon mentioned before, the reason I came to the Parkinsons Foundation is because of this guy on the left. That's my brother. He's my younger brother, John, and that's my dad there on the right. My brother was diagnosed with Parkinson's when he was 32. He's 41 now. This is us at our first walk, moving day walk event. And, you know, it was a time of a lot of confusion, and we were very scared. And I went on the internet and started searching, which I know isn't like always the right thing to do, but I was lucky because I found the Parkinsons Foundation and I found a lot of great resources. So when they were hiring, I jumped right on it. I'm also really grateful for this invite because we all know there's a lot of great organizations doing a lot of really great work. And we kind of joke like it's like alphabet soup, but that's a really good thing. All the letters that are in the mix, right? Like we all, as Katrina said, we work together and we all want to serve you and make your lives better. So our mission is to make lives better for people living with Parkinson's today until there's a tomorrow without the disease. So I'm here to talk about the Parkinsons Foundation, and Sharon did ask me to cover the history. So in 1957, William Black had a company called Chock full of nuts. And he started the Parkinson's Disease Foundation after learning that his close friend was diagnosed with Parkinson's. And so that's one organization. And then the next organization was also founded in 1957 by Miss Jean Levy. And she founded the National Parkinson's Foundation in Miami after her husband was diagnosed. So in 2016, seeing as how we had that alphabet soup, right? And we decided to merge. So we merged and formed the Parkinson's Foundation. Today we have still those offices in New York and Miami, but most of us are field-based. So we're based in our 5 regions, which are made up of 17 chapters. And again, we work towards making life better for people with Parkinson's. Okay, so we also have our buckets, right? Our focus areas, and our pillars are improving care, advancing research, and providing education and working in advocacy. So those are our big buckets. How we carry out that mission, we do just a lot of things, and I'm going to spare you and not go through all of these. I'm just going to pick a couple to highlight, but if you do see something on here that's like, hey, that sounds really interesting, email me and reach out to me and I can help you get connected. So this is just kind of this isn't even everything we do, but this is just kind of a big overview. Okay, so I'm going to start with this because I think this is what most people kind of know us for right off the bat. Does anyone have an Aware and Care kit, this hospital safety kit? Yeah, I already see some hands raised. So this is probably one of our favorite. This is the Aware and Care kit. It's for hospital safety again. This is in English and Spanish, by the way, so you can order it in either language. It's completely free. This one has such great stuff. Like it has this little, can you see this? This alert card, this bracelet. It's a bracelet. Yeah. It also has a wallet card that you keep in your wallet. This is, to let everyone know you have Parkinson's. It also has medication forms, and it has, I hope you can see this. It looks like my screen is acting weird. And information about the disease for nurses and first responders. And the reason why we made this kit was because we saw that 3 out of 4 people were not getting their medications on time in the hospital. 2 of 3 of those people had complications due to that delay. So this is something that's, again, part of that education and advocacy piece that allows people to be safer and advocate for themselves in the hospital. We also have a lot of books, and we used to call them rainbow books because you can see they're all broken out by topic. So you can get as much or as little information as you want. These are also completely free. They're digital, they're on Kindle, and you can order them in print. And they're all broken out, you know, fitness and every topic. For our caregivers, we have this incredible Caring and Coping. It's a nice big book and all broken out, again, by, you know, medical appointments. Here's a schedule, caregiving from afar, planning for in-home care. So this is really comprehensive as well. We also do a lot of online. So again, I mentioned you can get these online, but we also have this parkinson.org/PD Health, which is our national education online programs. That's also in Spanish. I didn't put the site, but I can put it in chat or give it to Sharon later. Parkinson.org/EP Salud for the Spanish version of that. So our Centers of Excellence program is a Center of Excellence is a medical center with specialized integrated teams of neurologists, physical therapists, mental health providers, allied health providers, all those people that work on your Parkinson's team. These are 47 centers, and there are 8 countries abroad. So if you're international, we have a few internationally as well. In California here, we have USC, UCSF, and UCSD. And we also have research centers. So we have another level that's research centers that's dedicated really to furthering innovative Parkinson's research. That's their focus. So I know people always want to know, where do we invest, right, in the research? And we spend millions of dollars a year to support research grants. If you want to learn more about exactly, again, I'm going to spare you the details, but you can learn more at a link that I'll share after to learn more about how we spend our research money. One of the biggest projects that we are doing right now is through those centers of excellence, through that network, to carry out our research called PD Generation. So this is a study, this is a basic science study that talks about the genetics involved in Parkinson's disease, and it includes genetic testing and the counseling at no cost. So you can do this through one of those centers, or you can do this from home. And that website is parkinson.org/PD Generation. So we do, like I've heard many others, organizations, we do believe that the most efficient and effective research includes and values the voice of people with Parkinson's and their care partners. So we do have a signature program. It's called Parkinson's Foundation Research Advocates. And this is a program that helps to bring together those people who are living with the disease to advise scientists, industry, and government. So this used to be called PAIR. Some of you may have heard it before, but now it is called Parkinson's Research Advocates. And again, I can share the information if you'd like it after. The other thing that's really popular, I think, in the community is this community grants. So this year, we actually awarded over $2.2 million in community grants. Our focus areas include grants that reach diverse populations, provide services in under-resourced areas, and for initiatives that reach the newly diagnosed, and also programs that address mental health. Since this started about 10 years ago, we have invested more than $7.4 million, invested in over 580 community grants. And yes, we were asked to speak specifically about women as well. So Sharon, I think, knows this in and out, but I'll give you the overview. Women with Parkinson's have not been adequately represented in Parkinson's research. And this was one of the critical reasons that we, the Parkinson's Foundation, created the Women in PD initiative. So we held a national conference back in 2015. I think Sharon mentioned that earlier, and Dr. Gilbert, and then it was followed by 10 Women in PD talks. Those were around the country. So that was a research program. So we collected data and about some of the unmet needs that women are experiencing. And I can also share that research report with you in the chat, or Sharon can share that out. Additionally, the women in PD advocates like Sharon have organized on their own statewide and local educational events, keynote speaking appearances, breakout sessions, focus groups, book clubs, classes. So they're a force in and of themselves. A couple things that are coming up that's kind of exciting just to share in the women's space. The Parkinson's Foundation has just granted Dr. Ellen Hessett-Emery an Impact Awards, one of those research awards I mentioned earlier, to study sex differences in Parkinson's. So that's this year. And then we also recently launched Parkinson's Foundation surveys. So again, we believe that to make life better, you have to hear from the people who are living with it. So that's our new program. And again, I can share that link later. Yeah, we rely on you guys. We rely on our volunteers and advocates and fundraisers. Somebody asked earlier about that breakdown. I'm going to give it to you. The financials, we spend 85% of our money on mission services. 10% is towards fundraising for those mission services, and 5% is administrative costs. And I can share the annual report with you if you'd like to look more. Sharon, how am I on time? I have a 60-second video. Should I skip that? Skip it? Okay. Okay, so we're grateful that you joined, and we're grateful to be here. Thanks for the invitation. We have lots of ways to get involved, and these are our main contact points at the Parkinson's Foundation.
Okay, all right, now I'm off mute. Okay, I'm gonna go back to, we do have a few questions that came through the chat. The first one was, and this goes your last comment, what percentage of donations go to administration? So we know, we've heard from the Parkinson's Foundation. Anybody else?
I think probably best to share the annual report. I'll put that in the chat, then you can see everything.
Okay.
Yeah, likewise, I don't have that figure. I know it's under 10%, but all of the information is available on our website, which I can send you the link as well.
Okay.
Katrina? If you go to our website, our 2020 financials just went up. I will say that we had a rough year last year. I think a lot of organizations do. We always strive to have at least 70% of our funds go to program, and we like to have it much more than that. As a small organization, any little shifts in finances make a big difference in our percentages. But all of our financials are on our website, updated for 2020.
Okay. We had a question from Marcia Colton. Is the EPDA involved with PD Avengers? Well, that's how Dom and I got connected, was through a chat on PD Avengers through the leadership. And I think he was the first one who responded when I said, is anybody interested in doing this? So does that answer the question? I think so.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Katie says her neuro ICU nurses love the nurse sheets from the PD care, the Aware and Care kits. Does the Parkinson's Foundation coordinate with Fox Foundation? And what is the focus of your research? And let's see if there's any, that's it. The rest are from our speakers. So Sarah?
Yeah, I was just answering in the chat, so I'll just read it here. Yes, we do. The Parkinson's Foundation, actually one of the bigger projects that we work together to do is the policy forum. So some of you might be familiar with that. That's when we bring advocates over to, usually to Washington, not the last year, but we advocate for certain policies that impact people with Parkinson's. I know APDA and other organizations are involved in that as well. And you know, our research focus, again, is just really on basic science to understand the causes and the markers of Parkinson's. So that's our focus. It's not on drug discovery, but yeah, we do invest a lot in basic science.
Okay. Anybody else? If you have a question, just go ahead. Raise your hand, unmute yourself. We have a few minutes if you want to just ask a question. Okay, Susan, unmute. We can't hear you.
Got it. I want to know, did the Parkinson's Foundation get the $9 million for the Veterans Administration for the ask this year at the policy forum?
That's a really good question. Let me find out for you, Susan, and let you know the status, because I don't think I've heard that as yet.
Yeah, because that was the whole pitch. And because I've
Yeah.
done a few of them now, and that was the pitch, and we never get the result. And I've done all my letter writing and everything else, but nobody gets back to me on, oh, this happened. So,
Yeah, let me circle back with my team, and maybe Dr. Gilbert has information on that too. I'm not sure, but yeah, we are. I'll let you know.
thanks.
I don't think it's been voted on yet. So I'm also not 100% sure, but I think that's still in progress because it really, the ask was very recent. So I don't think the final decision has been made by the funding bodies that be.
Okay. Susan, you have another question?
Yeah, with because it's part of the foundation asks. How are we with the paraquat situation? Because Parkinson's Avengers and Parkinson's Foundation are both working towards banning paraquat, and I wanted to know how we're going with it.
So
Well,
again,
yeah, go ahead.
The paraquat situation has been, work in progress for many years, and since the ask, I don't think there's been any significant movement legislatively. So it's a very slow process making laws. So
yeah,
that's
I will say that the EPA went ahead and gave the approval for another 8 years, I think, for paraquat. The chat that I was on where Dom responded to me was started about that issue. And there was a suggestion made that we start working with some of the environmental agencies, which will give us a bigger voice. And I think that's really the way to go, is to not do it on our own, but work in conjunction with other organizations who that is really their main focus. Okay, I saw another hand up. Okay, Penny.
Yeah, I was just wondering, you know how it takes like $19 billion to bring a new drug to market? I was wondering what we can do to advocate for maybe a more streamlined process for Parkinson's medicines to, with this coordinated effort or something, is there something we can do to decrease the cost of that? If anybody had any ideas who are kind of closer in that process.
I think the as Parkinson Foundation said, and I reiterate, or I say as well for my organization, we do not have the funds, the massive funds to invest in drug discovery. So that is not our niche. Michael J. Fox, on the other hand, who I know was a member of this panel last time, they are working along those lines. So it's called venture philanthropy is the concept, where, so what venture capital is. So those are people that just want to make a lot of money. Venture philanthropy is taking seed money from a nonprofit and putting it into industry to try to jumpstart drug discovery. So that concept worked extremely well in cystic fibrosis, for example, and I think that's everyone's model, where the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation really pushed industry to create drugs and has really changed the landscape. And so that model is being used at some degree at Michael J. Fox. So people are thinking along the lines that you're suggesting, like how to really cut, make it something, when it's all for profit, something gets lost in the shuffle, and bringing in that patient voice can be very helpful. So obviously more ideas need to be generated, but people are thinking along those lines.
I think one thing they're looking at is collaborating internationally, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And in that, how important it is to share research information in an open, be just undisclosed, be transparent with research, and share research studies with each other.
Absolutely. And also share negative results is what everyone needs to do, because if negative results aren't published, then you have lots of people trying to reiterate things that won't work. So that's another big push.
I did see one thing too. I think I saw it this morning about a shift in focusing on mRNA, the model used to create the vaccinations for COVID, and using that, looking into using that for Parkinson's treatment, which would be interesting. I think there's this whole new field of research opening up because of that. Did anybody else see that this morning? I think it was today, unless I'm imagining it. I'll have to look for it. Okay, any other questions? Anybody? Okay.
Real quick, Ms. Sharon?
Yeah.
If you have not done the PD generation, I would really encourage folks to do it. It's not hard to do. For me, it, I guess, laid some relief on the table to know that mine was not genetic, so my kids don't have to worry about it. But at the same time, going through my medical history with my genetic counselor opened up some more questions for them, as far as could there be correlations between things in my medical history that might have led to my Parkinson's. So I think it's important for as many of us to do it as we can, because there's correlations there that they don't know about yet.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Thank you. I have a couple more. Let's see. Sally Reinert, she said she just found out Thursday that a friend of hers was diagnosed with PD, who was a spray pilot. And then Barbara Rubin asks if there has been any update on the number of people who currently have PD in the US and worldwide. Anybody?
I don't know if Sarah wants to take the question. This actually was a point of collaboration among organizations to fund a study that that really looked into this. Parkinson Foundation took the lead. So I don't know if Sarah wants to talk about that, or
yeah, it's fairly recent. It's a Parkinson's prevalence project, the tongue twister there. So, and a lot of that data was from public health. I think, and Dr. Gilbert could probably speak to this better, but the issue is, how we collect the data is not always consistent across. So there, I think usually we underestimate the amount of Parkinson's. And right now, I think they're estimating 1 million, roughly 1 million, and that it's expected to double in the next 10 years, in the next coming decade. And also there's the California Registry, which some of you may know about if you're in California. Yeah. Oh, hi, Barbara. Did you have a question?
So, yes, I just wanted to emphasize, we're talking about drugs and we're talking about getting more money. If we don't have an accurate count as to how many people there are in this country that have Parkinson's, we really are shooting ourselves in the foot. And I've had it for 10 years, and every single year I hear 1 million people have Parkinson's, or 1.5 million. Well, it's been 10 years. There's got to be more. And we're throwing around numbers that we don't really know are accurate. And if you want to encourage the drug companies to get on the stick, we've got to have a massive number of people that they're trying to help. Otherwise, they're not going to help us.
Okay. Dom put some stuff. Dom and Sarah both put something in the chat. Dom, can you tell us briefly, real quickly, what the numbers are?
Prevalence information that's on our website. I mean, I don't know when it was updated. I think it was a year or two ago, but it gives some prevalent studies. Sadly, it's none of it's really up to date. In Europe, it's an incredible challenge to even get an accurate estimation. If you think of all the countries in Europe, and just very few of them have got any properly up to date prevalence information. I suspect that goes far. Most countries across the world. So I think it's a huge challenge. The EPDA is actually beginning to look at what we can do. We as a small organization can do in the prevalence, from a European prevalence perspective. We'll probably make a start on that next year, but I think it will be slowly from our perspective. I think it's a huge task.
Okay. And Penny asks, aren't we seeing an increase in young onset? Yes or no? Anybody?
I don't think we have the data to support that yet. I don't think that study has not been done to my knowledge. But just to answer Barbara's question again, I I agree with you that we need the number. So the number that we're using now is 960,000. So we were batting around 1 million maybe for 10 years. It was probably not the right number. So 960 in 2010 is the number that's being 960,000 in 2010 is the number that's been used is being used. And then as Sarah said, that increases with time and I'm sorry, I said 2010 and then 2020. 2020, the number is 960,000, so a little less than 1 million, and that will increase in 2030. And that's the number that we're using as a community and to advocate in Congress and in industry.
And are we still saying 60-40 men to women?
Yes, we are.
Okay. All right. How many states have mandatory reporting? Does anybody know that?
So California definitely does. Nebraska, I think it does, has a registry as well. And then there are movements in a bunch of other states, Massachusetts and New York are two of them, where in the state assemblies, they're moving legislation through to try to make a registry. And then there's a movement from the CDC to make a registry, to make a national registry. And actually all the Parkinson organizations were at a meeting a couple of years ago at the CDC to discuss this. That was before COVID. I think CDC has been a little bit preoccupied with other things these past year. So my guess is that's a bit on the back burner, but certainly the state registries are pushing the national agenda as well to make a national registry. So again, a work in progress, but there's a lot of movement.
We need that. I know it's being undercounted, and getting accurate numbers will help us get some boots on the ground to get some more research.
Absolutely. And the other great thing about California is they have a district by district breakdown of pesticides used. So you can actually correlate pesticide use with Parkinson's prevalence. So that's really amazing data as well. I'm going to mute myself because my phone is.
Yeah, we have a very large Central Valley, California group, very active group, and that's where most of the pesticide use is in California. So Sarah can speak to that because she works with that group a lot.
Yeah, there's also just for everyone's information, there's a study being led by Beata Ritz at UCLA, and it's associated with the registry that looks into the correlation in environmental exposures with rates and incidence of Parkinson's. So yes, it's concentrated. I think it's roughly 8 to 10 times more Parkinson's in the Central Valley than the rest of the state. Also, so far, the registry has demonstrated that we estimated around 80,000 people with Parkinson's in California, and so far they have almost 120,000 records. So it just, again, proves that these numbers are probably underestimated, and more, like Barbara said, more correct data collection is absolutely needed.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have 2 more hands up, Ellen Schaefer and Victoria Miller. And I think, Susan, you had another question. So Ellen, we'll start with you.
Hi there. I'm encouraged to hear results from the California registry. I've called and written to them kind of regularly, and they're always very gracious and polite and say they'll send me information and kind of never do. So I'm interested to see if there are some written results, or if there's some place I can look, or if they publish something that I could take a look at.
Where are you located?
San Francisco.
Oh, you are in California. Okay. I don't know. Sarah, do you have the answer for that? Do you know anything about it?
Yeah, I can send a website in the chat. It's Assemblyman Nazarian, who's in I think the sort of the North Valley in Los Angeles County. He's sort of the lead on this, and again, Beata Ritz's office sometimes is responsive if you have those specific questions. But let me see if I can find a general link for you right now.
Okay. We had a question in the chat. Explain the registry, please. So people outside of California are not familiar with it. I guess it just got financed again for a second year, where the doctors are are they required to report Parkinson's patients to this registry? so that we do get an accurate number. Sarah, you probably know more, can answer that better than I can, but that's what the registry is.
That might be a question for Dr. Gilbert. She might know how that works a little more than I would.
Well, so my understanding is that there are links with the electronic medical records that doctors in California use and the registry. So the big obstacle to registries, and this, there was actually doctors' organizations that fought against registries because the processes in the office were so difficult if you needed to add this extra step. So if somebody came in and you saw them for Parkinson's, then you also had to then do something else and send the information to the registry. Doctors were against this. So in order to make this happen, there's it's automatic. So if you click that the diagnosis you've seen the patient for is Parkinson's, the record will automatically be sent to the registry and it's collected. So it's really a great process and can be replicated really anywhere that has electronic medical records, and it's required to have electronic medical records now. Obama put that into law. So that's I think why you're starting to see this momentum of collecting cases in this way.
Yes.
Okay.
Can I talk now?
Yeah, I'm gonna, Victoria, and then I'm gonna skip there are a couple other questions which we can go into after we close that are specific. They're really not about the organizations themselves. We're getting away from our topic. So we'll get back to the registry after we close this. So hang on if you have questions. Okay, Victoria.
Oh, I was going to talk about the registry too. So.
Oh, okay. Well, anything else that does not have to do with the registry?
I can answer Barbara's question. Is there any organization leading the charge of the registry? Just to be clear, all the organizations work together on advocacy issues through the Michael J. Fox Foundation. So Michael J. Fox has one branch, that's an advocacy branch that is run by Ted Thompson. That's the organization that organized the whole advocacy group that Susan was talking about before, and all the organizations participate in that. So it really, for advocacy, there really is quite a unified front and concerted effort.
Okay. Any other questions? Susan, you had one?
I didn't have a question, but I know a group I was in, and they were women who did not want to get their genetics done. This is before PD generation, it was just starting. And I said, you just have to ask yourself, I know it's scary to think of your kids, but you have to ask yourself, do you want to be part of the problem or part of the solution? And if your kids get Parkinson's and there's treatment for their genetic mutation, you can be part of that solution. And that did persuade some people to go ahead and get the genetic testing because and that doesn't mean your kid has it if you have it. I have it and my son does not have it. So it's really part of, you're on this line, you want to help the solution, then do everything you can, get genetic tested.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you, everybody. I'm going to stop here. Let me pull my screen up and go back to my presentation. So just a sec. Oh shoot, where did it go? Here. In the slideshow. Oh, there we go. Okay, so thank you all of our wonderful speakers, Dom, Katrina, Rebecca, and Sarah. We usually we have a virtual tiara for the ladies, and Dom, you get the king's crown. Thank you. Since we're virtual, that's how we thank you. Next up, in a couple of weeks, we are going to have Ping Pong for Good, and this may be our first hybrid meeting. So if you live in the Los Angeles area, especially Los Angeles, and if you want to go to a facility where we will be actually doing some Parkinson's exercises with ping pong or table tennis, let me know if you want to participate in that. I don't know how many people we can accommodate. I'm waiting to hear from our speakers. But if at the last, in Kyoto, at the last WPC, they had a room with ping pong tables, and it was very popular. I got in there twice, and it was a lot of fun. I hadn't played since I was a kid, and it was a blast. So that's our next one. And then this is your last chance to vote for me. I'm not going to ask again because the voting closes on Friday or Saturday. For the We Go Health Awards, I've actually been nominated for 7 different awards. Somebody actually put me down for hilarious patient leader. I don't get it, but thank you, whoever it was. And I actually, 3 years ago, I was nominated for the first time and I didn't do anything and I was a finalist. And I can't figure that one out. But anyway, vote for all categories. It's fine. And do you need another t-shirt? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And you can see Amy Lindbergh posted this on Facebook. This is our #1 seller right now, is the t-shirt, the tank top. And of course you need it. We have a sale. Our fundraiser is going on till Saturday, July 31st. And this time I have zip up hoodies because last time I was not too smart. Being a Parkinson's person, I ordered the pullover hoodie, which is a problem for many people. So now you can get your zip up hoodies. So support us so that we can continue to do programs like this in the future. And I think there was one other thing I wanted to tell you and I have no idea what, our Parkinson's Peer Support Network is going and it is thriving.